In the quiet, dusty village of Umuk, where nearly every family knew the next, there lived a girl whose name was often spoken with pity, mockery, or both. Her name was Amaka. She was small, gentle, and soft-spoken, the kind of girl who preferred reading under the mango tree to running around with others. And because she was different, the village children gave her a cruel nickname, the Outcast. It wasn't because she had done anything wrong. It was simply because she came from a poor home, wore hand-me-downs, and rarely spoke unless spoken to. The taunts followed her everywhere. See Amaka. Always alone. Who will ever marry her? She thinks she's better than us because she reads. Their words pierced her like thorns, but Amaka learned to hide her pain behind a quiet smile. Even the adults weren't kind. Some avoided her mother, Mama Ebra, because she could not afford village contributions. Others whispered, "She is cursed. No wonder her father left. That family brings misfortune." But inside their tiny mud house, Amaka found warmth. Her mother always told her, "My daughter, don't let their words shape you. You are more than they can see." And deep down, Amaka believed her, just not strongly enough. One particular afternoon, after another day of mockery, Amaka sat behind the old church with tears slipping down her cheeks. She didn't cry loudly, she never did. Instead, her pain settled in silence, heavy as a stone. That was when old Mama Nwodo, the mysterious herbalist woman from the edge of the village, approached her. "You are crying again," the elderly woman said in her raspy voice. Amaka quickly wiped her tears. "No, Mama. I'm fine." Mama Nwodo chuckled softly. "Child, the wind may hide its sound, but it cannot hide its movement. Your heart is hurting." Amaka lowered her head. She didn't want anyone to see her weakness. The old woman looked at her for a long moment, then spoke words Amaka would remember for the rest of her life. "Those who mock you today will kneel for you tomorrow. Mark my words." "Me," Amaka whispered. "A girl like me." Mama Nwodo nodded. "You carry a destiny bigger than this village. A crown waits for you far away. One day, this same Umuk will gather to call you queen." Amaka stared at her in disbelief. Queen. She, the girl nobody wanted near. She, the child people pitied. Impossible. But the old woman simply smiled, touched the girl's shoulder gently, and walked away. That night, while the moon shone through the cracks in their roof, Amaka whispered to herself, what if I could be more than they think?" She didn't know it yet, but her life was about to shift in ways no one could predict, not even the ones who mocked her. For destiny had already begun its quiet approach. And the outcast of Umuk was standing at the edge of a future brighter than the sun. Amaka's days continued in quiet struggle, but something inside her had changed. Mama Nwodo's prophecy echoed in her mind, giving her a strange kind of courage. A courage she didn't fully understand yet. Still, the village never missed a chance to remind her of her place. One market day, Amaka carried a basket of cassava on her head, weaving through the crowd as traders shouted their prices. She kept her eyes low, trying not to attract attention, but trouble had a way of finding her. Kelechi and his group of loud-mouthed friends, the same boys who had teased her since childhood, spotted her. "Look who is here," Kelechi mocked. "The lonely queen of nowhere." Laughter erupted. Amaka swallowed the sting in her throat and kept walking. "Amaka!" Another boy shouted. "Come and buy clothes na. You don't want to look fine like other girls." She ignored them. But Kelechi stepped forward and blocked her path. "You can't pretend you don't hear us," he sneered. "Kelechi, leave her alone," someone said quietly. The boys turned. It was Chisholm, one of the few people in the village who didn't treat Amaka like she was invisible. He was kind, respectful, and carried a calmness that annoyed the troublesome boys. Kelechi rolled his eyes. "Look at this one. Defender of outcasts." Chisholm shook his head. "Mocking someone won't make you better." Amaka swallowed hard. The humiliation, the pity, the tension, it all pressed on her chest. She didn't want anyone fighting for her. It made her feel smaller. She hurried away before tears betrayed her. That evening, as she washed cassava behind the house, Mama Ebra approached her. "My daughter, why are your eyes red?" she asked softly. Amaka forced a smile. "It's nothing, Mama." Her mother sighed. She always recognized her daughter's unspoken pain. "You have a good heart, Amaka. One day, people will see what I see." But Amaka only nodded. Her heart was too heavy for hope. The next morning came with unexpected news. News that spread faster than harmattan breeze. The Igui, village chief, had announced that a royal delegation from the distant kingdom of Iziaha would be visiting Yumyuk. They were searching for young women across different villages for a special cultural program at the palace. The entire community buzzed with excitement. Women rushed to prepare wrappers, beads, and hairstyles. Girls who usually ignored the mirror suddenly spent hours admiring themselves. Mothers began whispering to their daughters, "This is your chance. If a prince notices you, your life will change." Everyone believed it was an opportunity for glory. Everyone except Amaka. She was certain this had nothing to do with her. But life had a way of shifting paths when least expected. The delegation arrived 3 days later. Drums beating, horses trotting, and dust rising beneath the feet of palace escorts. Villagers gathered at the square, cheering as the visitors stepped down from their traveling carriages. Among them was a tall, regal-looking man, the king's senior advisor, flanked by guards in deep blue attire. "We come in peace to invite young maidens to Iziaha," he announced. "Those selected will be taught leadership, culture, and public service at the Royal Academy." A murmur of excitement swept through the crowd. Girls lined up eagerly. Fatima, Nyanai, the most admired girls of the village. Amaka stood in the crowd, unnoticed as usual. The advisor walked slowly along the line of girls, studying each one carefully. Murmured comments followed. "He will pick Fatima, I'm sure." "No, Anyanai is the fairest." "Adiz is the most eloquent." But the advisor didn't stop at any of them. Instead, he stopped walking entirely and turned toward the crowd, where Amaka stood partly hidden behind 2 older women. His gaze fixed on her. A strange silence settled. The advisor pointed at her. "You," he said. Amaka froze. "You, child," he repeated gently. "Come forward." The villagers gasped. "Her? Why her? What is special about that one?" Amaka stepped forward, trembling, unsure whether this was a blessing or a cruel joke. The advisor looked at her with a knowing smile, as if he saw something the entire village had missed for years. "What is your name?" Amaka," she whispered. "Amaka," he repeated, as though tasting the meaning. "Beautiful name. You will come with us to Iziaha." Her heart stopped. She blinked rapidly. "Emmi. Why?" "Because destiny is calling you," the advisor replied simply. A hush washed over the crowd. People stared, some in shock, some in confusion, many in envy. Kalechi frowned deeply. "How can they pick her? Out of all of us?" Even the glamorous girls looked shaken. Mama Ebera stood still, tears filling her eyes. "My daughter chosen," she whispered. For the first time in her life, Amaka felt seen, not as a burden, not as an outcast, not as a girl born into misfortune, but as someone worthy. She turned to see Mama Nwodo standing at the edge of the square, watching her with a small, eerie smile. The old woman mouthed, "The crown awaits." And at that moment, Amaka realized. This was only the beginning. Her life, the life everyone mocked, was about to change forever. The morning Amina returned to Kijiji, the sun had barely climbed over the hills. The air was thick with dust, stirred by villagers rushing to glimpse the unknown visitor arriving with a convoy of glossy black SUVs that looked impossibly foreign against the familiar red earth road. The village children were the first to run toward the commotion, their bare feet kicking up clouds as they squealed with excitement. Women paused at the riverbank, buckets balanced expertly on their heads, whispering among themselves. Men looked up from repairing fishing nets or tending goats, squinting in disbelief. Someone important was arriving. But no one knew who. No one imagined it was Amina, the girl they once left to cry under the mango tree while her classmates mocked her. A queen returns to her past. Inside the lead SUV sat Queen Amina of Akwanza, posture regal, eyes steady, though her heartbeat thumped against her chest like a drum. Her royal advisor, Elder Cato, leaned slightly toward her. "Your Majesty, are you ready?" She nodded, even though she wasn't. How does one prepare to return to the place that never wanted them? The door opened, and Amina stepped out. Her royal gown flowing like water, gold-trimmed, her crown subtle but unmistakably majestic. Gasps rippled through the crowd as villagers stared, mouths open, unable to reconcile the powerful queen before them with the frail, dusty girl from their memories. Whispers erupted. "Is that Amina? Can't be. The Amina who couldn't even afford shoes. The same girl we used to laugh at?" And somewhere in the crowd, the old sting of humiliation burned fresh again. Faces from a hurtful yesterday. From behind the villagers stepped Mama Talika, the woman who used to push Amina away from her fruit stall, claiming she attracted bad luck. Now, Mama Talika dropped her basket as her eyes widened in disbelief. "Amina," she whispered, hands trembling. Amina gave her a polite nod, neither cold nor warm. "My queen," Mama Talika stammered, bowing so low her wrapper touched the dust. Amina's heart twisted. All she ever wanted was kindness. Not fear. Not this. Next came Wendo, the girl who once led the schoolyard chants of Amina the Nobody. She was older now, exhausted, burdened by life. She stepped forward shaky. "I didn't know you would become someone. Please forgive." Amina raised a hand gently. No need for apologies. The past has spoken its piece. But inside, she felt the echoes of childhood tears tug at her spirit. The village chief's regret. The crowd parted as Chief Baresa, the same man who once denied Amina a community scholarship because she was too poor to bother educating, walked toward her. He removed his red-feathered crown, bowed deeply and said, "Your Majesty, I failed you when you needed us most." For a long moment, Amina looked into his aged eyes. She saw remorse, true remorse. Something she once believed she'd never receive. Her voice was calm, steady. "Chief Baresa, our past shapes us, but it does not define who we must be today. Kijiji needs rebuilding, unity, hope. I've come to help." A stunned silence washed over the village. She had not returned for revenge. She had returned for restoration. A celebration born of shock. The village drum musicians began a hesitant rhythm, a beat unsure if it was appropriate. But the sound grew, building into a joyful celebration as people slowly processed the truth. Amina, the unwanted girl, had come home not as a threat but as a queen bringing blessing. Children danced. Women ululated. Men clapped rhythmically. Amina smiled for the first time since arriving. Not because they celebrated her, but because she was strong enough now not to crumble before their memories. One shadow remained. But as she walked through the joyous crowd toward the chief's compound, her advisor quietly murmured, "Your Majesty, there is someone waiting for you in the main hut." "Who?" Amina asked. "The one who asked for you the moment news of your arrival spread. Someone who claims to know your truest past." A chill slid down Amina's spine. 'Cause she already knew. There was only one person she feared. One person she had hoped never to face again. Her father. The man who abandoned her. And now he wanted a meeting. The joy around her continued, but Amina's heart plunged into silence. Because Chapter 4 would bring the confrontation she spent years preparing for. And yet Dreade. The chief's compound was quiet, unnaturally quiet, despite the growing celebration outside. Villagers danced and shouted her name, but inside the clay-walled courtyard, the air hung heavy with tension. Amina walked slowly, each step measured, every breath deliberate. Elder Cato led the way, but as they reached the entrance of the main hut, he paused. "Your Majesty," he murmured, "whatever waits inside, Remember, you are no longer the child who was forced to survive alone. You are a queen." Amina nodded, though her stomach twisted painfully. The past had a way of reaching for her like invisible fingers, tugging at scars she believed were healed. She pushed the curtain aside. And there he was. The father who chose to leave. Jeopardy, the man who gave her life but never her love, sat on a stool, hunched, older than she remembered. His hair was grayer, his skin rougher, his once powerful posture broken. For a moment he didn't look up. Then slowly he stood. "Amina," he said. Her name on his tongue made her flinch. She hadn't heard him say it in years. Not since the night he walked away with nothing but a sack of clothes and a promise that meant nothing. "I'll come back for you." He never did. Amina remained standing near the entrance. She didn't move closer. Not yet. "Your Majesty," he corrected himself softly, bowing slightly. But the bow was shallow. Pride still lived somewhere in him. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Finally Amina spoke, her voice steady despite the war inside her. "Why are you here?" "A man seeking redemption." Jeopardy swallowed hard. His eyes glistened. I heard the stories," he began. "That the queen of Kwanzaa was a girl named Amina. My Amina. And I knew I had to come." "Why?" she repeated. He ran a hand across his face. "To explain. To tell you I'm sorry. To ask for forgiveness." Amina's throat tightened. Not because she wanted his apology, but because for years she had wanted answers. Answers for every lonely night, every mocking chant, every struggle she endured while he rebuilt his life elsewhere. "Explain then," she said quietly. Jeopardy took a breath. "When your mother died," he said, voice cracking, I didn't know how to raise you alone. I wasn't strong enough. I thought the village would help. I thought someone would take you in." "They didn't," Amina said sharply. "You left me with people who didn't want me." He winced as though struck. "I know," he whispered. "And I hate myself for it. I left believing you would be cared for. But life humbled me. Everything I built fell apart. And when I finally had the courage to return, you were gone. Already struggling in the city. Already hardened." Amina swallowed. Memories flashed. Selling fruits under the sun, sleeping hungry, reading borrowed books by moonlight, fighting to survive in a world that never gave her a chance. "Why didn't you look for me?" she asked softly. Jeopardy lowered his head. "Because I was ashamed." A daughter's pain, a queen's strength. For a long moment neither spoke. The silence became a battlefield of unsaid things. Finally Amina stepped closer. "You abandoned me," she said. "And your absence shaped my entire life. I learned to be strong without you. Found purpose without you. And now you return only after I have become someone the world respects." Her voice broke slightly, but she did not hide it. Queens were allowed to feel. Strength did not erase pain. Jeopardy's eyes filled. "I deserve your anger. All of it." Amina took a shaky breath. "I am not angry," she said. He looked up surprised. "I am hurt," she continued, "but no longer angry. Because despite what you did, or didn't do, I rose." Her crown shimmered in the dim hut light. It was a reminder of how far she'd come. "Then, can you forgive me?" Jeopardy asked, voice trembling. Amina gazed at him long and hard. "Forgiveness without forgetting." "I can forgive you," she said slowly, "because forgiveness frees me. Not because you deserve it." He nodded, tears sliding down his cheeks. "But I cannot pretend the past didn't happen. You cannot walk into my life and expect the place of a father. That time has passed." Jeopardy wiped his face roughly. "Then let me serve you," he whispered. "Let me be of use. Even if you never call me father again." Amina hesitated. He looked sincere, broken, human. Not the abandoning figure she remembered, but a flawed man trying to repair the ruins he left behind. "We shall see," she finally said. "The village learns the truth." When they stepped outside the hut, The villagers who had once mocked Amina gathered, waiting anxiously. They saw Jeopardy standing behind her, head bowed, not as a proud man but as someone seeking mercy. The whispers spread quickly. Her father is back. After all these years. Does she forgive him? Amina raised a hand, silencing the crowd. My father has returned, she announced. And though the past carries wounds, we move forward not with bitterness, but with hope. The villagers murmured, stunned. Amina continued. Healing is a choice. And today I choose it. The crowd erupted into applause. Some out of admiration, others out of guilt, all of them moved. But peace was short-lived. As night approached and torches lit the village in warm golden glow, a shadow approached the chief's compound. A messenger, out of breath, dirt covering his clothes. He fell to his knees. Your Majesty, he gasped. News from Akwanza. Urgent news. Amina stiffened. What news? She asked. The messenger lifted trembling eyes to hers. Your throne is in danger. Amina's heart dropped like a stone. The celebration froze. The night air shifted. Her past was not her only battle. Now her kingdom needed her. And Chapter 5 would bring the greatest test of all. Choosing between the village that once rejected her and the kingdom that now depended on her. The torch flames flickered wildly in the night breeze, casting long trembling shadows across the village square. Moments ago, people were singing and dancing in celebration of Amina's return. Now silence swallowed everything, every drum, every cheer, every breath. Amina stared at the exhausted messenger kneeling before her. His clothes bore dust from a long journey, and fear clung to him like a second skin. Speak, she commanded gently but firmly. What danger threatens my kingdom? The messenger bowed his head, voice quivering. Your Majesty, Queen Amina. The High Council in Akwanza has been infiltrated. A rival faction is plotting to remove you from the throne. They say you are unfit because you lack noble blood. They claim your time in this village proves you are not loyal to the crown. A sharp murmur ran through the villagers. Amina's heart clenched. After everything she had done for Akwanza, every policy, every reform, every sacrifice, they still questioned her worth, still doubted her, still judged her origins, just like the village once did. The old wound throbbed inside her, but she kept her expression calm. A queen never showed fear, especially not before enemies or betrayers. Chief Olamide stepped forward, his face grave. How long do we have? He asked the messenger. Not long, the young man replied. Some council members have already begun turning people against the queen. Soldiers loyal to the rival faction may be preparing to seize the throne. Amina inhaled slowly, steadying herself. So the kingdom I rebuilt now seeks to unmake me. A choice that tore her heart in two. The villagers watched, their faces painted with worry and guilt. Only hours earlier, many of them had been too ashamed to even look her in the eye. Now they feared losing the woman they had once rejected. Elder Cato stepped beside her and bowed. Your Majesty, he said quietly, you must return to Akwanza immediately. His words were correct. Her kingdom needed her, urgently. But Amina felt something twist inside her chest. Leaving this village right after making peace with her past felt like abandoning unfinished healing. She glanced back at the hut where her father, Jeopardy, sat inside. She remembered the warmth of the embrace she hadn't wanted but allowed. The forgiveness she extended though her wounds were still tender. Could she leave him again? Could she leave the village as quickly as she returned? Was she ready to choose between where she came from and who she had become? The weight of the moment pressed on her chest. Her father steps forward. Suddenly, the curtain of the hut pushed aside. Jeopardy emerged slowly, leaning on a carved walking stick. His cheeks were still damp from tears shed earlier. Amina, he called softly. She turned, heart aching at the sight of him. He gave her a weak smile. You must go. She shook her head. I just found you again. And your people need you, he replied. A queen belongs where she is called, and you were chosen for that throne, not by accident, but by destiny. His voice broke, but he went on. I may have failed you before, but let me be useful now. Oh, protect your kingdom. Make them see the woman I should have raised you to be. Emotion rushed through her. Too fast, too strong. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she blinked them away. Queens could cry, but not now. Not in front of the crowd. Not in front of the messenger who feared for her life. Not in front of the villagers who finally looked at her with respect. She stepped toward her father and placed a hand on his shoulder. When this is over, she whispered, I will return. He nodded, squeezing her hand. I will be waiting. The village that once mocked her now begs to help. Chief Olamide suddenly fell to one knee. Your Majesty, he said, voice proud and loud, allow the warriors of this village to escort you. Others followed, one by one. Men and women, elders and youth, even the children. They dropped to their knees before her, before the girl they once called useless, cursed, nothing. We may have wronged you, Elder Cato said, voice trembling. But if danger comes for you, it comes for all of us. Let us help. Let us atone. Let us protect our queen. Amina stared at them, speechless. Villagers who had once turned their backs on her, now offering their lives for her. Her throat tightened with emotion. You owe me nothing, she whispered. No, Chief Olamide replied. We owe you everything. The journey back to Akwanza. Before the moon reached its peak, Amina was already on horseback, leading a caravan of villagers and loyal palace guards. Torches lit their path as they rode through forests, across rivers, over hills under the silver gaze of the night sky. The air shifted as they neared the capital. Smoke curled into the sky. People whispered in the streets. Guards stood uneasily at their posts. By dawn, Amina stood before the massive golden gates of the palace. Her home. Her throne. Her battlefield. The moment the guards saw her approaching with a growing army behind her, their confusion turned to panic. Open the gates, a captain shouted. The queen has returned. One guard hesitated, whispering to another. But the council. Amina fixed him with a firm, commanding gaze. I am still the queen, she said. Open. Gates. The heavy doors creaked open. She entered. The betrayal revealed. The palace courtyard buzzed with tension. Council members stood grouped on the marble steps, their robes elegant, their expressions stiff. At the center stood Lord Mufasa, the nobleman who once envied how quickly she climbed the ranks. Mufasa, Amina said coolly, I hear you question my right to rule. He smirked. I don't question it, Your Majesty. I reject it. Gasps rippled through the courtyard. You were born a commoner, he continued. A girl with no noble blood. A daughter of a man who ran away. How can such a person be queen? Amina stepped forward, every inch of her radiating authority. You are wrong, she said calmly. I am not queen because of noble blood. She placed a hand over her heart. I am queen because I earned it. Through wisdom. Through service. Through sacrifice. Her voice rose. And if you believe my origin makes me weak, you have forgotten that every kingdom was built by hands that once came from the dust. Cheers erupted behind her, from villagers and palace guards alike. Mufasa's smirk faltered. The final blow. Amina raised her chin. Lord Mufasa, she declared, you are hereby stripped of your council position. You have committed treason by plotting to dethrone your queen. Mufasa's face twisted with shock. You cannot. I already have. Guards stepped forward, seizing him. He struggled, shouting insults, but they dragged him away. The courtyard erupted into applause. Amina raised a hand, silencing them. There will be no more divisions, she said. No more doubts. I stand before you as the girl you rejected. She turned to the villagers who accompanied her. And as the queen you tried to replace. Her eyes softened. But I forgive you. All of you. Today we begin anew. A kingdom and a village united. Hours later, Amina stood on her balcony overlooking the capital. The villagers she once feared returning to now walked proudly through the city as honored guests. Children laughed. Drums played. The kingdom was alive again. She touched the golden necklace around her throat, her symbol of royalty. Then she touched the simple woven bracelet on her wrist, the one her mother made for her when she was little, the one she wore throughout her years of struggle, the one she never removed. Her past, her present, her future, all united at last. As the sun set, painting the sky with orange and purple, Amina whispered to herself, "I was once the girl they mocked. Now I am the woman they follow. And I will rule with the strength of both." The queen, who was once a village outcast, had finally come home,